descendants of the master plan, incredible, amazing. We'll make you laugh and make you cry with no apparent reason why. It's a marvelous thing. Love is the eighth wonder. Eighth wonder of the world. Wonder of the world. Eighth wonder of the world. Love is the eighth wonder. Eighth wonder of the world. Wonder. I fell in love with you first. Na 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 na. I fell in love with you first. Oh, na 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 na. I fell in love with you first. Oh, na 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 na. I fell in love with you first. This may seem silly, but girl, I got one up on you. Up on you. You say that you think that you love me, but girl, it's too late, 'cause I know that I do love you. Oh. Oh, na 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 na. I fell in love with you first. Oh, na 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 na.
Welcome to Just Norwood. Now, thank you for joining me as I invite you into my world of crazy stories, fun, music, and inspiration. Now, if you feel so inclined to donate to the program, I would sure enough appreciate it. Now, here is my information for my Cash App and my PayPal. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to Just Norwood. I guess I don't have to tell you who I am, but for those who don't know, if you're just tuning in right now, tune in. My name is Norwood Young, Just Norwood. So I am very, very excited about today's show, not only because it's my first, but because I have the opportunity to share this platform with two of the most important women in my life. That would be my mother, Betty Young, and my sister, Tanya Young Williams. So what we're going to do today is just reminisce and talk about what's going on in their lives and how they influenced my life, and just share some stories. And I want you to participate by asking questions. And those of you who follow my sister's journey or my mom's journey, and if you have questions for them, feel free to ask. So yeah, so I am very excited about this platform, and I hope this is a place where we can chop it up, have some fun. I can inspire you, you can inspire me. So yeah, so that's the situation. So the first person I'm going to bring up is my sister Tanya, who is an amazing, amazing woman. She's raised two beautiful, beautiful young ladies. One who is an actress, and she's studying acting and her skills in Chicago. Tanya will tell us the name of the school because I forgot. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about her restaurant, her club, her new resale place, and her rehabilitations. And she's got a lot of stuff going on. And then we're going to swap some childhood stories as well. So I want to introduce you to Tanya Young Williams. So we're going to pay some bills, and then we're going to come back and start the show.
Barnes Music City Soul Food, Nashville's premier soul food experience. Barbecue, fried or baked chicken, oxtails, turkey wings, meatloaf, chicken wings, pork or turkey chops, rotisserie chicken, fried fish, mac and cheese, greens and yams, an assortment of vegetables for the vegan in you, cakes and pies, outdoor dining available. Barnes Music City Soul Food, Knowlesville Road and Old Hippie Boulevard. Call 615-429-7836 or barnesmusiccitysoulfood.com.
Are we having fun yet? Don't forget, you can donate to Cash App or PayPal. All right, so we're back. So I have to be real honest with you because that's me, I'm honest. So right now, I'm a bit nervous as hell. Not only because this is our first show, but because my mother nor my sister know anything about what I'm about to do. So if I'm not on any of my other platforms within the next couple of days, call the police, call National Guard, because they have buried me somewhere and my body is floating or under the ground somewhere because they have killed me. But what I'm going to do first is read from excerpt from my book, Just Norwood. I'm trying to figure out what's right and left here. Anyway, because I had the privilege and honor that my mother wrote the prelogue for this book and Tanya wrote the afterword for my book. So I'm just going to read a little bit and then I want to bring Tanya on. So Tanya says this. Growing up with Norwood as a big brother was always exciting and different from what my friends experienced with their older siblings. Norwood never wanted to exclude his baby sisters. He often wanted us around to enjoy his revelry and to be his audience. He also, whether consciously or not, taught us about music, pop culture, television, designing, and carpentry. However, let's just note that Norwood could be the poster child for what not to do at home when it comes to carpentry. When Norwood was old enough to care for me and my sister after school, our parents would allow us to come home where Norwood was waiting for us. Norwood got home from school much earlier than we did. We were required to do our homework and our chores while we waited for our parents' arrival 3 hours later. However, because of Norwood's amazing organizing and efficiency skills, we also managed to watch soap operas, to watch Phil Donahue, who was pre-Oprah, Dinah Shore, followed by the Brady Brunch, and then we would dance around like Soul Train dancers and still get the chores completed during my parents' 45 minutes commute from work. Of course, Norwood always had to check in before they left the office to estimate just how much time we had to play. There were days when Norwood felt like performing instead of watching Erica Kane married husband number 6 on All My Children. Sometimes he would change his wardrobe, and other times he would just grab his mic. He always made sure he had a tape recorder in place and would sing whatever moved him. In fact, it is awkward and funny to observe Norwood's close relationship with Natalie Cole. I learned and still remember every word to Natalie's hits Inseparable and This Will Be because Norwood played her album over and over and over just to nail a riff or to remember where she modulated in the song. My sister and I would listen to Johnny Mathis and laugh as Norwood imitated Johnny's vibrato. When I went to see Norwood during his unfortunate stay in the Clink, he directed me to send money to family members of inmates on whom he had just met because of some financial hardship they were experiencing. He requested that I put money into the accounts for jail inmates who had no resources and no family. Norwood was even a giver in jail. This time in Norwood's life made me so sad on many levels. I was also in distress because I know how devastated he had to feel to wear a hot orange cotton poly blend jumpsuit all day without his trademark sunglasses. Norwood is strong-willed, resilient, God-fearing, book-smart, and street-smart. So I know he could acclimate to his new and unplanned environment. But not to be permitted to a wardrobe change throughout the day, well, I thought that would take him over the edge. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to my sister, my heart, Tanya Young Williams.
Hey, brother. That was so funny. 100% true.
Do you remember that?
As you read it, parts of it, it sounded like me.
Yes.
As you read certain parts of it, it became more crystal clear when I was writing it. And every story is true. I would tell the same stories right now. So, yeah, I
It is.
just remember it vaguely, but I remember the words. I remember the sentiment 100%.
And what's so funny is because we wrote the book 10 years ago, so I had to go back and review to for this story. So going back and reading this, I cracked up all over again.
Yeah, I didn't even remember you had asked me to actually write it. And so when you first announced it, I said, who wrote
That's
that?
right. Mom, you wrote the beginning of the book. You wrote the end. My girls, and here we are again. Here we are again. All right. So here's the deal. I'm going to bring up topics, and then I want you to go. All right. So the first topic is you being a high school athlete. Tell us about that. Tell us about daddy's influence. Tell us what you played, track and basketball, and do. Go. Bam.
Bam. So growing up, I was an athlete. I had an opportunity to play quite a few sports. In high school, I played basketball, soccer, and track. And I'm still proud to say that I hold a record for the long jump, still in Mercer County after 20 plus years. And I am the only woman in Mercer County history who was all county in 3 different events. So no one else has done it. So I did play a lot of sports in high school. My dad was a huge influence because the reality is, as talented and celebrated as I was in high school, I learned when I was in college that my dad was way better than me in every sports. So I'm really proud of the all county, but my dad was all state in every sport he played.
Yes, he was. Yes, he
And he
was.
never brought it up. He just cheered me on, but he never brought it up or bragged or any of that. And so I really believe that he was a key part in my success as an athlete. And going to college, I chose basketball. I'd been offered scholarships for track and also for soccer. But I chose basketball primarily because I didn't want to be in the cold playing soccer, and I did not want to run as much as they wanted to for track. So I played basketball in college. So all my life I remember I had 2 things going on. If I wasn't on a sports court or in the field, mommy had me in church, in a play, in the choir. That pretty much was our lives. We had something that we were passionate about in an extracurricular way, but then we also were really grounded in church, and mommy led us in all those things that continue to be the important driving forces in our lives.
All right. So let me go back to the school athlete thing. So I think I've told you this, maybe not. I've always been low key jealous because on the sports spectrum, you were the favorite son. You were daddy's favorite son that he had because you played everything, and because he was so sports driven, it was like wow. He was so involved in every game and everything. So I was low key jealous. I was like, wait a minute, when somebody comes to something I do. So yeah, that's great.
Well, young, in all fairness,
Yes,
daddy showed up at everything you did, and when
that
same
he
thing
did.
with your manager and so as a parent, I've learned that we just show up,
But
and
here's
at everything as often as we can. We show up, we're present, and we do the best we can, as tired as we are.
yeah. Well, see, he gave up. Well, here's the deal. In all fairness to him, he gave up on my dreams. He gave up on his dreams as me being an athlete when I was on the football team, and I threw the other team the ball when I saw playing football. They
Right.
threw me the pass, and I saw the jokers running at me. I threw them the ball, and I ran with them.
Yeah. But the thing is, you've always had a body. You've
Yeah,
always had an athlete's body, always had great legs. And remember when our neighbors was driving down the street, my friend's mother, she was driving down the street and you were cutting the grass and staring at your legs. And she drove up the sidewalk on 2 mommy's grass and she was looking at your legs. This was Cougar kind of attitude 25, 30 years ago. So
Yep.
you were always framed like an athlete. And remember, our family played volleyball about 5 years ago.
Right.
Good volleyball. You can hit the ball. So listen, you
That way, Tanya said, "Oh, we just gonna let him sing. We just gonna let him sing. Go ahead, take him up."
listen, but the athletic part of you is there in how you're framed. But when it comes to actually doing it, it's not something that you choose to pursue. Even jet skiing, because
Nope, we're not going to do that. We're going to the next subject. Wait a minute. All right, we gotta go to the next really fast. Tanya and I went jet skiing. I had a place in Catalina, and we went jet skiing. To make a long story short, I don't like jet skiing. Never liked it. Whatever. I guess I put on a light vest that was too small. Tanya was driving the jet ski.
no. Norwood
Who was driving it?
was driving the jet ski. Norwood was driving the jet ski. Norwood was driving the jet ski. And in Norwood driving the jet ski, he did something and flipped us over. I still don't remember, but when he flipped us over, he landed in the water. We both landed in the water, had on life vests. He in the water panicking, like
Oh my God, this is it, Tanya. I love you. I love you.
He was like Peter sinking with Jesus. He was freaking out. And I looked at him, I said, Norwood, you know how to swim. And he was like, oh, you're right. And he calmed right down. He calmed right down.
Oh my God. Norwood, you can swim. Oh, that's right. Anyway, next subject.
Yes.
You're an attorney. Tell us about it. Tell us about where you went to school, why you decided to practice law, and why you're not practicing it now, and why you choose not to practice it.
I'll start by saying, whenever you're an attorney, you practice all of your life.
Okay.
Family and friends who come to you regardless
Yep.
if you're designed to practice full time.
Yep.
So it's
Guilty.
But
Guilty.
Absolutely. So I when I finished college, I wanted to go to law school because I really didn't want to get another job. But I also was really driven by the fact that I wanted to come out in a profession where everyone who's doing what I'm doing had to walk the same journey. And so being always intriguing to me because of the analytical skills and the logic, all necessary for practicing law. So I went to Yeshiva University, Cardozo School of Law, and I had an amazing experience. I often tell people that it was the greatest learning experience of my life, not just because of the academic rigors, but I had an opportunity to be in an environment where most of my colleagues were Orthodox, at the minimum, practicing Jews, and I was really a minority. There were probably 5 or 6 of us of color, but it allowed them to understand the life and the experiences of someone of color or Black person, because they don't engage. When you grow up Orthodox, you go to school all your life with people who look like you and worship like you. So it gave them an opportunity to engage with someone like me. And conversely, I walked into a world, I've always been intrigued and I love Judaism, but I got to really understand the culture and practice the culture. So it was the most rewarding experience of my life. Much of what I've taken from law school, I still practice right now. So coming out of there, I practiced for a little while in patent and trademark law. But then I moved to LA with my brother, supposedly for 4 weeks. And it was in November, and I was supposed to go back and the job of a lifetime. And I was there in November, and it was 80 degrees. And I was like, maybe I'll work on my PhD.
Perfect segue. Tell us about that was the next question. Tell us about the PhD, Dr. Tanya Young Williams.
Yeah. So then, while I was there, I had an opportunity to work on my PhD in political science, and I finished that, and then I had these 2 great academic careers that I could choose. Do I want to practice law? Do I want to teach? And most importantly, I just said, God, what do you want me to do? And God just continued to open doors for me that allowed me to use what I learned in law school as an on-air legal analyst for KTLA and CNN and HLN. So I got an opportunity to talk about the law and which was important. And I loved the cases. So I covered high profile cases like the Michael Jackson case and the whatever the top 10 or 15 were, or 15 years in the last 15 years, I covered them. But allow me to do that without having the rigors of going into a law firm and writing briefs and litigating. So I was able to work as an on-air legal analyst for quite a few years for award-winning networks, and it was tremendous. And then I was able to teach at Loyola Marymount, and as a professor.
So you were a college professor as well.
Professor there, I taught public relations and ethics. So once again, I just say, there's nothing that we do in our lives that we cannot incorporate in the next evolution of what God has for us. So that's what he's done. Everything I've used has been a stepping stone or a tool necessary for whatever opportunity was coming my way.
Right. All right. So let's talk about how that segued into you being a radio host. And our lives are so powerful in the club owning and the radio and the do. And I thought about that last night. I said, wait a minute, she copying me over me. Anyway, let's talk about your radio job.
Well, I've always, like I said, it's law, it's politics, it's political science. I had an opportunity to have a radio show called In the Loop. And having been on television for quite a few years, it was just a really comfortable step for me. And we talked about politics, but our goal was to keep the community that we were engaging in the loop about things they might not otherwise talk about at home, and to keep them informed about what's going on in the world. How do you make informed decisions? What's going on in the White House? So it was a great opportunity. Like I said, the show is called In the Loop. And I can also allow my daughter, Triumph, to be a producer. So she got, a glimpse of not only what I do, but it forced her to study what was going on in current events and to help me figure out what the topics were going to be. So, a lot of things that we do, coming from our mom and our dad, they've instilled in us things that we do right now. And I just watch the generational lessons by practice. So Triumph learned things because I was there. Mommy and daddy have always done things that have touched what we're doing in our lives right now.
Right. So all right. So I want to go to my next topic, but I have to talk about your brilliant daughters just very briefly. Tell us about your daughter.
My angels, Triumph and Wisdom Williams. They're brilliant. They have been told every day of their lives since they were a baby that they were born to change the world. And I am so proud that I watch them every day when they make choices and how they live their lives, the friends they choose, the risks they take, but all knowing at the end of the day, they are going to do something to change the world. So Triumph is a student. She's an actor at the theater school at DePaul, a very rigorous acting conservatory. And she's
in Chicago,
thriving and doing well. My youngest daughter, Wisdom, is a poet who is super, super gifted. And she's also a model for Ford Models. So both of them have, which I'm so proud about, going the non-traditional, less safe route of being a creative, being an artist. And, I'm just the parent who's always wanted them to take that leap. They have all their lives to look for that safety net somewhere. But, if you're creative, as our household has been, for mom, me being an artist, daddy being a sports broadcaster, you being an artist, I wanted my children to really go after what made them, what woke them up in the morning and made them happy, not what was going to help pay a bill 40 years down the road.
You was kind, you was smart, you was important. So listen, all right, so tell us, because we don't have much time in this segment left, but tell us about Pivot that you founded and are co-owner of.
Yeah, so Pivot Treatment and Wellness Center. I founded it with my business partner, Dr. Jacob Elephant, and we just wanted to do addiction treatment differently. We believe that very often people fall into addiction because of other voids in their lives, and they fill it with drugs and or alcohol. So we put together a program called Peace, Passion, and Purpose. And it is the same thread that it is actually the same thread about which I talk, whether I'm giving speeches to women or to civic unions. It's really about is how do you find your passion in life? So Pivot really was about helping people who are struggling with addiction find their passion in life and fill the voids that they're now filling with drugs and or alcohol. And it has been, a wonderful, wonderful experience. We've created something that is new, that's bigger than me. And for that reason, I've handed over the reins to someone I mentored for 3 years. And then she's steering the ship for Pivot Treatment and Wellness Center as I now take my next journey. The door God opened for me here in New York City with Central Park Resale Consignment.
Stop. Run the commercial, Kat. Run the commercial.
The second time is so much better. The second time around, and I make it better than the first time. You know I really love you, and I paid for my mistakes. Yes, I did, girl. The more I try to hide my feelings, baby, this old heart gets in the way, and love won't let me wait. The second time around, girl, with me is better than the first time. The second time around, let's do it one more time. Say it again. The second time around, all that I've been through, I'll do it again, just as long as I'm with you.
If you would like to promote your business or your upcoming event here on the Just Norwood program, you can contact us at goodwoodproductions@gmail.com, or why don't you follow me on Instagram at Just Norwood or on Facebook at Norwood Young. Okay, gotta get back to the program. So yeah, hey, daughter.
Hi! That was
Hi,
amazing! I
Hi,
feel so
Liz.
this.
Hi, Google. Oh my
Hi.
gosh. Hi. This is
How
my
are you?
brilliant niece. I'm good. How are you?
You guys look
It is-
amazing.
I'm smiling because I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so happy to see you too.
This is
I
my
wanted to
niece.
be involved. I wanted to be
Huh?
fun. I wanted a part in this. I thought it
Well,
was
you got it. You got it. How's the modeling coming?
Oh, it's great. Having a blast.
So in the commercial we just saw,
Uh-huh.
were they all your legs that we just saw?
Yes.
Wow! Okay, that's fantastic. Yay!
Thanks.
Anybody want to say hi to my niece Wisdom? Hi, Wiz. Victoria said hi, Wiz.
Hi.
Yay!
Hi.
Sean said hi. Oh.
Guys.
Okay, so you can't make your Funko cry on here. I'm a Funko. I'm a father
Hi,
uncle.
guys. Oh my gosh.
So good to see you.
Hi.
So Tanya, tell us about CPR.
So Central Park, you leaving me now?
Yeah.
Okay,
that was
bye.
my cue.
Bye, Wiz.
Bye.
So Central Park Resale is actually, I just don't know how to say, God opened the door and I just walked there in it. We are a store on Central Park West in Manhattan, New York. And we are a store that sells high-end consignment items as well as mid-tier designers and thrift, which is not more than $15 a piece, an item. But what's great about this, it allows us through our thrifting platform to continue to do the work I was doing at Pivot. So continue to give donation and money to people who are suffering with addiction. Also, this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we will give money to organizations this month that benefit domestic violence victims. So Central Park Resale is a fun place. It was designed and curated and installations created by Victoria Schaefer, who I think is also watching. So it has,
I know her. Do I know her?
You know her, Norwood. You know her. You know her. Rumor has it you know her, and you knew her biblically. So,
There you go.
So anyway, so it is an amazing space. It's called Central Park Resale. We are so excited and happy to be in that community, to be in that neighborhood. The response has been absolutely tremendous. We want everyone, if you know someone in the area who wants to go shopping for thrift or consignment and find fabulous things at a great price, or you just want to come in and have fun and say hello, please stop by and see us. Central Park Resale in Manhattan, New York.
Okay, so where? Give us an address.
66th Street and Central Park West. That's the easiest way to remember it. 66th
Okay.
Street and Central Park West. So we're having a blast. It's literally, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot
Okay,
of
so
fun.
you're very humble, so you wouldn't talk about it, so I can. It's not an easy feat to have a location in Central Park, period. Because initially Central Park was owned by Black people, right? Pretty primarily.
Well, so let me, if I can piggyback on that, Norwood, because Norwood mentioned that in something. So of course, when he said, I didn't know the history, and I, of course, since then have researched it. So there was a part of Central Park was called it was the Seneca Village, and
Right.
between 88th and 85th and 88th Street in what is now Central Park. And Norwood was absolutely correct, because I did do the research. It was owned by Black families who had started a community in this area, and they had, I think it was 30 families, but they wanted to expand. They had one school, they planned to have 3 churches, and they were essentially ousted out of this community because they wanted to build Central Park. And so now in Central Park, there's some signage and there's a plaque that commemorates this community of Black people who had, established themselves. They were professionals. They were investing in this lot of land for their families, and it was taken from them. So Norwood is 100% correct. And Norwood, thank you for that knowledge, because I didn't know until you mentioned it on my page, and I went and did the research. And so now we will be putting up a sign and a picture in our store commemorating the families who were in Central Park.
And who got bulldozed out. Central Park happened. And it's ironic that you, a Black woman, is back in that area. I think it's so commendable, and it makes me extremely happy to see this turnabout. It's fair play. All right, I wish we had more time to talk one-on-one, because there's so much that I haven't covered. But we'll have you back. So right now, with you on the screen, I'm going to bring our mommy on. So, Kat. So wait, Kat, before I do that, can you pop in? Because people keep hearing me say Kat. Kat is my producer. Say hi to the people, Kat.
Hi.
Okay, thank you, Kat. All right, so Kat, we're gonna oh God, really? Okay, so we're gonna bring my mom on right now. Ladies and gentlemen, wait. Don't bring her on yet. I want to read the foreword. From my book. So here we go. Now, these were the words that my mother wrote in my book. Norwood was supposed to arrive on August the 26th, but from the very beginning, he was determined to do things his way. About 12 hours into labor, he would not come out. There was a nurse on duty at the time, and she had scheduled her vacation but couldn't leave until I delivered my baby. I remember her being so anxious and frustrated that she stood on her tiptoes and pressed on my belly so hard that her feet were off the ground. She wanted that baby to come out. Norwood refused. The doctors discovered that he was a breech baby, turned around feet first in the womb. Determined to be different, they had to manually go in with forceps and their hands to turn him around. Talk about pain. None of my sisters warned me about the pain. One even suggested that I bring a few magazines because she said I would be so bored while in labor. Well, I was far from bored, and none of the magazines got read. I was in so much pain I couldn't see straight, let alone read. I want to kill my sisters to this day for selling me that bill of goods. 25 hours of labor and all that pain and drama washed away when I held my beautiful baby boy. I knew at that moment he was something special. Youngie, that's our nickname for him, always did things his own way with his very own vision. He never followed the pack, nor would march to his own beat. He always was into something and always up to something. Many of the things I had to find out much later. One Easter, I boiled and decorated 3 dozen eggs and put them in this gigantic basket. Norwood and his sisters were home after school. While their father and I were at work, I guess they got hungry and they ate all 3 dozen eggs. I am sure it was Norwood's idea to go out and buy more eggs and try to boil and decorate them before we got home. I remember cracking one of those eggs open and it was raw inside. Now that's the kind of stuff Norwood would do. He was very mischievous and very adventurous. Messing around with rubber cement glue, he set part of the house on fire. He tried to cover that up too, but he couldn't cover up the smell. He would also throw parties in my house when I wasn't home. I had this mural made up of primarily Ebony and Jet magazine vintage photos of people like James Brown, Aretha Franklin, the Jackson 5, and many others mixed in with pictures with my family in a collage on a wall. Years later, I would run into people who would tell me how wonderful they thought the collage was in my family room. Funny thing is, I knew for a fact I never invited these people into my home. They had to have been there at a party Norwood invited them to. Have you ever had too much? I've had to tell Norwood enough. He has always said that he could never repay me for the things I've done for him. But that is just what mothers do. He doesn't owe me a thing. I don't know if there would ever be another son who would reward their mother the way Norwood has rewarded me. From diamonds to minks, and that's minks with an S, to designer clothes. And the way he is has become infectious with his sisters too. It takes a long time to open gifts on Christmas Day, as it's almost an all-day affair. If he asks me what I want, I'll say maybe a pantsuit. Norwood shows up with 8 pantsuits, all fabulous. My kids don't need to buy me anything ever. If I get some candles, I'm happy, but Norwood would never settle for that. Every year we went on family vacations. One year, Norwood invited us all to his place in Catalina for Valentine's Day weekend. We have a big family, and there had to be about 30 of us, but he paid for everything. We stayed in cottages. His was the biggest, and he transformed it into a restaurant and threw a dinner party. He rented tables and chairs from somewhere and had us all dress up in red. We had a cook-off where he gave us money for groceries, and we all had to show up with a dish. There was so much food, we couldn't eat it all. Norwood has always been overprotective of me. I often have to remind him that I am the mother and that he is the son because he is protective like a parent. Very late one evening around midnight, Norwood and I are on the phone when suddenly my doorbell rang. Norwood was not having that. From Los Angeles, and just that fast, that boy, my son, called the Ewing Township Police to my home to investigate. Now, my son gets the biggest joy out of surprising me. I was in Las Vegas recently, walking through the casinos, and out of nowhere, here comes Norwood. I thought he was tied up with business in California, but he flew in to spend the weekend with me. When I come to California to visit, somebody is always waiting for me when I get off the plane with roses. Not just one time, not a couple times, but every time. And it's never a dozen roses, it's several dozen. I've had so many roses once that I couldn't even carry them all. I think Norwood just loves to see my eyes light up when he surprises me, and he gets me every time. One night, I was talking to him on the phone, as I do almost every night. I was heading to choir rehearsal afterward, and I told him that I was going to get a shower and that I had to go. I hung up the phone, but he called back again. At the same time the phone rang, so did the doorbell. I went to the front door, and there he was with his luggage. Norwood has always been full of surprises. Yep, I loves my mama. Bring my mama on, cat.
Hi,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm beautiful. How are you?
I'm fine. Just want to
Good.
say that all the stories that you just read were true. And you're the same way today. You're full of surprises, and your heart is so filled with love, not only for me, but for anybody who knows you. I'm so proud of you, all the things that you've done. And I'm hoping that going further with your restaurant and with this wonderful show, that all your dreams are going to come true because you deserve this and a lot more. Norwood, from mommy to you.
Okay, my mom, I love you, but the idea is not that you make me cry on here, okay? I'm supposed to be a professional. Okay? But thank you for those wonderful words. Tanya, we also have to talk about your soul food restaurant, but that's another time. My mom, Danielle Renee, says, hi, Mrs. Young. All right. So
Hi.
my mom, I'm going to just do like I did with Tanya, and I'm going to give you some topics, and then you just expound on them, okay? All right.
Okay.
So first topic is tell us about you growing up. I hear something going on in the background. Cat, are you typing? I
No.
hear something going on. No, I'm talking to Cat.
Okay.
Okay. Yep, she stopped. All right. So, tell us, my mom, about being a little girl, singing, growing up, and you and Ann. The
Okay.
whole Gully Girls, whatever that is.
Well, you have it a little mixed up. The Hully Gully Girls were a bit older. But
Uh-oh.
okay, that's when we were Hully Gully Girls. Ann, Gladys, and me. But
Okay.
growing up, Angie and I,
Now, Angie's your sister,
Angie, my
right?
sister, yes, we sang a lot together. And my dad worked for Sears Roebucks, and they had a lot of big events. And they would always ask Ann and myself to sing. And we had a favorite song that we sang for every event because they would actually ask us to. And it was called Faraway Places. And so I'm sure all three of my children know that because we had to rehearse it and to sing it over and over and over again. And I grew up singing.
Places with strange sounding names, right?
Yes, far away over the sea. Those
That's all I
faraway places with strange sounding names are calling me.
know. Tanya, you remember that time?
Tanya, you don't remember that?
She says she does.
Oh, she would
Tanya,
have to.
unmute your mic, Tanya. You can unmute.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
Yep.
I remember that song very. We didn't have a choice. That we grew up listening to my mom and dad tell us that story about
Wait,
that
tell us
song.
that. All right, so mommy, so all right, so that was you and Ann. So the Holy Goalie Girls were you, your sister Gladys, and Ann.
And yes.
So,
And
so
through
would
the
you guys get
years,
dressed up and go sing someplace? What would you guys do?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said, would you guys get dressed up and go
Oh, yes.
perform?
Yes. Well, we would get dressed up and go out for the evening,
Uh-huh.
sometimes to dinner, and then sometimes after we go to our favorite spot or club, one would call it, and we would have a great time. And we were popular and we met a lot of people, and somehow or other, we got the name the Hully Gully Girls. And it was really from dancing. We were asked to dance every time the jukebox came on. This was a while ago. So I'm dating myself with jukebox, of course, but
No.
uh, it would come
Mm-mm.
on and we just danced the night away. And we got the name the Hully Gully Girls.
All right, so I don't want to get off topic, but is that where you met Daddy in one of the Holy Goalie situations, or that was much later?
No, it was not. I was
All
only
right.
with my sisters, and I didn't meet your father there.
Okay, you met Daddy. Wait. All right, that's another conversation.
And
All right. All right. So next topic, my mom. Tell us about Johnson and Johnson, and you were at Johnson and Johnson Research, right? So
yes,
you're talking Johnson and Johnson, but then I want you to tell us about um, your roots, your not your roots, how the television show Roots influenced you and the things you did. And guys, I'm setting this up. I'm trying to not give it away. Tell us about when you saw Roots on television and what the people at Johnson and Johnson had to deal with. So to give
well,
us a background about Johnson and Johnson.
well, I worked at Johnson & Johnson for 28 years, and getting out of college, that's the first and only place really that I worked for that many years straight. And I loved Johnson & Johnson. Everybody was, as far as I knew, everybody was uh, treated the same. And in my life growing up was not filled with Black history. Let's say that. And in our schools, we had no Black history. We weren't taught Black history. We had no books for Black history. So there's a lot of things I didn't know until Roots. And when Roots was shown, I really couldn't believe what I was seeing because the woman who was a babysitter for my sister and I, Angie, lived next door to us. She was Polish, and we would go and eat. She would prepare our lunch, and then she and my mom were good friends. So I never knew actually what was going on in this country against Black people. Let's say that. And of course, Roots was presented, and I didn't even know what they meant by roots, you know. And of course, your heritage, where you came from, and what was going on. And I began to watch the series.
All right, all
And
right, let me stop you. Let me set the stage. All right, so my mom is a research scientist at Johnson and Johnson, where not predominantly everybody except for one other person are white. Okay, so my mother, one of my mother's associates, Paul, was the only blacks at Johnson and Johnson Research. Continue, my mom.
okay.
Okay.
And I watched Roots every night. And the more I watched Roots, the angrier I got. I didn't know anything about what was happening in lynchings and folks in the South, and they're coming over on the ship. I knew none of that. And before I really knew anything about it, I was watching it. And I became very angry. And I'm the only Black, really, one other, in J&J. And I went to work the next day. Well, first of all, let me say this. I rode to work with a couple, Italian couple, who lived in my area because I was at J&J in New Brunswick and I'm living in Trenton. And I rode to work with them every day. Very nice couple, I thought. And they were. But after watching Roots, they were just the wrong color. And so I went to work being angry. And the heating system was in my office. And the first thing I did was turn the heat off at J&J. And they had no heat. And everybody was wondering what had happened to the heat. And I wouldn't say anything. I was really that upset. And then the next thing I did was to tell them that I didn't need to ride with them anymore to work. And I had no other way to get to work. But I just couldn't believe all that I was seeing and the way my folks were being treated. And I got very upset. And I calmed down sort of after that. But in the last year, the rage is up again.
Amen.
Yep.
You know, I'm, listen, and I'm sure most of the folks, and I don't even know if I should be saying this, but I'm going to, I never knew who Karen was until I had my own experience.
Okay, tell us real quick, Mom. Tell us.
Okay, I'll tell you real fast.
Okay.
Tanya has a place in the Poconos, and I went there and we went shopping one morning. And I was in line, and this woman was on my neck. She was so close to me. And I turned to her to say, would you please back up? You know, we're supposed to be social distancing. And when I turned around, she saw my mask, which said, Black Lives Matter.
Uh-oh.
And she said to me, why are you wearing that mask? And I said to her, it's a free country. And if you thought white lives mattered, you could be wearing a mask also. Needless to say, we got in a confrontation, and my daughter had to come over and talk to the manager at the store. And it's just amazing how folks just talk to you and talk down to you. And even at this age that I am, I'm still amazed at the things that go on in this country. And so Roots really started it with me, but I'm still feeling it now.
Yeah, and I'm going to move on to the next subject. But before that, I want to interject. It was because of the way we grew up, my sisters and myself. we did not really, we weren't privy to prejudice. So it was a shock. I got suspended from school. Phoenix, please stop barking. I got suspended from school because I kicked the boy in the knee after Roots, the white boy. I kicked him right in the knee in high school because he looked at me crazy, and I kicked him. So Roots was an awakening for all of us who had no knowledge of it. You know,
Well,
it
it's,
was
I think,
crazy.
I think it's lack of knowledge is one thing, but we also grew up in a household that mommy and daddy taught us black pride. So
Without a doubt.
we were looking at African masks on the walls, and mommy had done that whole wall of black, our disparity
Yeah.
on the
Oh
wall.
yeah.
That's,
Oh
we
yeah.
always had this pride, and so when Roots really took the veil off of what our history was and put it on full blast for all of us to see because we were not learning it. That's sort of what came up in conflict to this pride that we had. And it was just really difficult trying to figure out what do you do with all these emotions. And I was very, very, very young when Roots came out. So, but I remember it to this day. And I mean, I was 6, 7, maybe, but it was something we watched as a family. And a lot of Black families came together and watched Roots, and the impact it had on us in our household, in our neighborhoods, in the country. It resonated in so many ways. But like I said, it was the same time where we were really learning in our house what it means to be proud to be a Black person.
Right.
Which is why it was even more devastating for us because we were living through our eyes. So seeing that level of where we came from was just unbelievable, you know, because we were so proud. All right, Mama, now tell us about your directing in church and the history of that, because from childhood we remember you being a director and a musical director.
Okay. Well, the first church you would remember me directing choirs in would have been St. Paul Methodist Church. Okay.
AME Zion,
AME Zion, hometown
African
church.
Methodist Episcopal Zion. It don't get no more Black than that. African Methodist Episcopal Zion.
Yes, all of that. And
Uh-huh.
we had wonderful choirs in that church. And I think that's where I first became a choir director in
Mhm.
St. Paul. And
Nope.
our
Nope.
choir grew
Nope.
to,
Nope. Tanya saying nope. What, Tanya?
but I wasn't directing in Galilee, darling.
But Mom, you did direct in Galilee.
But not really.
Okay.
Okay, not really. There were small groups that sang in Galilee, and I sang in a young adult choir, but not so much directing. But to direct voices, the first was St. Paul, and then what did I say? St. Paul first, and then El Bethel Baptist Church, and now Shiloh Baptist Church. So three major churches I directed in, but my children were all a part of those churches, and my children, with all the attributes and all the wonderful things they do, each of them have beautiful voices. Of course, you've heard Norwood, but Tanya has a wonderful voice too. And my younger daughter, Tamika, has a wonderful voice. So they were always in the choir and they would help me out in sections. So it was a little bit easy to get the other folks to listen to the notes and sing them.
I just thought about something. Tanya was a soprano, Tamika was the alto, and I was the tenor. You had it.
I planned it that way.
Oh, you did. Go, Mama.
Oh yeah. So I planned
Well, Mama,
yes.
tell us about the Lionels.
Oh wow. That was going on when I was directing the choirs too. We had a group that was called the Lionels. It was 10 women from our area, Trenton, New Jersey. We sang for more than 20 years. And we would go all over the city and the state and some places, I would say around the country, singing. And they were sort of well known on the East Coast. And while I was singing with those fabulous women, I was still directing choirs in the city.
So you know, one of my favorite songs for the Lionels was "I'm Too Close to my. Remember
That
that?
was the favorite of a lot of folk. And of
All right,
course,
hold on,
I made that song, and that's why you said it.
hold on
But
1 second. Cat. Yep.
wow, 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 wow,
Yay,
wow,
yay, yay,
wow,
yay.
wow.
What
Thank
kind of
you, Norwood. You're still full of surprises.
David,
Oh, that was great.
David Tobin just said, please let Mrs. Young know that her influence as a Black woman with impeccable style and musical excellence has blessed many generations, including me. I love Betty Louise Young forever.
Amen.
Who's that name?
David David Tobin.
Oh, that is so wonderful, Norwood. Thank you. Oh my word, I'm speechless because and you know he's such a trickster, and you know some things I need to just say that you're just always surprising me, and I thought I was finished being surprised. But
Gotcha.
got
So
me for sure. And
but when I watch that, I sit and I see myself. I see where I get certain things. You know, it's real clear to me. You know, it's amazing. So, Mom, what kind of memories did that bring back for you?
well, it brought back a lot of memories because we sang every Sunday in town, out of town, and all of the children went with us when we sang. So Norwood and Tanya and Tamika know all the words to
Every song.
every song, and uh, they were our mascots. They traveled with us, and they just were just great kids, and I'm sure that helped to influence their lives also.
Oh, we did, but let's be clear. We were also roadies. I carried microphones and speakers. Tanya was too young. I was a roadie.
Well, yes, but you wanted to do it. You loved
I
being,
loved it.
you loved, of course, and the
It was
folks and all of the young ladies who sang, 10 of us, all of the children went, not just my children. So we had a half a church when we got there with our children.
It was performance 101. I used to love to go and watch you guys sing because I would learn so much because you were the orator between each song, right? You guys, what I've learned though is in my own performances, my gift of setting up song has come from watching you do that. That's where I got it from. And I just
Yeah.
told Debbie last night, that's where I got that from. So when I watch it, it's amazing. So all right, hey Kat, can you read out a couple comments real quickly? So I want to ask my mom one more thing. All right, Debbie Trey said, "Can see where you get your talent and style and unsquashable faith." Yep. Yeah.
I can't hear you, Norwood.
Okay. Your
Read
phone is
that
cracking.
again.
All right. Debbie said she can see where I got my talent, style, and unsquashable faith. Unsquashable faith for sure.
Praise
Next.
God. Yeah.
Yep. And then Quincy said it's rare to hear that kind of singing nowadays. Yes, my mom, it is. So, my mom, let me ask you this. Tell us about your segue from being a research scientist. Oh, wait, we forgot to talk about is how I and Tanya, we used to have to get up every Saturday morning prior to choir rehearsal and Lionel rehearsal. We have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get in the car to drive 45 minutes to go to Johnson & Johnson Research Labs. Tanya and I and my sister Tamika are no stranger to research labs because every Saturday morning we had to go while my mom was testing on the rats and the beagles. And it was a lot. Tell us about that, Mom.
Okay.
Tylenol.
That was during the Tylenol days. And
Right.
we had to, the animals had to be fed every day and tested. And so my lovely children could not wait to get in the car to ride to New Brunswick with me and to go into the labs and watch me take care of my Tylenol patients that had to be serviced every day, Saturdays and Sundays included. I think that they sort of at first didn't like it too much, but after a while they sort of got used to it and they were making history. So
We did not know we were making history.
Yes.
yes, well,
Well-
you knew it after Tylenol was called back and we had to keep going to
Yes.
redo a lot
Well,
of testing. Then you knew.
what's so interesting about this experience we had as children, it flies in the face of everything that's permitted now. Like there's no more testing on animals. We
No.
went there and watched mommy test animals. For show and tell, we would take a pig heart. We would take a rodent brain because mommy
Yep.
would bring them home in whatever
In the
kind
formaldehyde in the basket.
Formaldehyde, exactly.
and
Mm.
could you imagine if a child nowadays brought an animal part of an animal? The whole
Listen,
family, the
child
child
services will be at mommy's door.
at the door. But that's what I'm saying. Times have changed so much because when you go to movies, the one thing they want to show is no animal was used in a movie, or
That's
no
exactly
animal
right.
can buy a product
Yep.
to make a product. It's like it has
Yep.
not been tested on animals. But that's what was done. That was our norm 35 years ago. And
Yep.
Mommy
Let alone bring the body parts home.
right. And we
Oh
would
yeah,
take
but
them to school.
we
for
had to
show and tell.
autopsy the animals and put them in formaldehyde, and then we had to make slides and read the slides and know what was going on in the body. So it was necessary, and I think that Tylenol. I still give J&J a lot of credit because they pulled every Tylenol pill off the shelves and they researched it, and now it is the most famous pain reliever in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, you don't work for Johnson & Johnson anymore. You don't have to do it.
Okay. That was not a commercial, Norwood.
All right, so Mom, so tell us how you segued from that into your businesses and what your business is now.
Well, let's see. I worked at J&J, and then they were really offering us a buyout, sort of speak. And I thought about it and talked to, everybody about it. And I thought I wanted to leave after 28 years working there. And really not knowing exactly what I wanted to do because I wanted to stay in the medical field as far as equipment. There was nothing there in my mind about being a boutique owner or having a makeup line or any of that. I just wanted to stay in the medical field. And so I left J&J and I went into partnership with medical equipment with a young man from Trenton. And after a few years, decided I really did not like that field. And so then I sort of segued into fashion, not thinking that I talked about a boutique, but didn't know if I really wanted to do it or not. But as time went on, my wonderful daughter uh, and her husband, after my requests so many times for a boutique, actually gave me one. I owned Be Beautiful Parlor, and during that time, I don't know, Noah, do you remember what B&B Cosmetics stood for?
All right, so I was getting ready to jump in because prior to the boutique, I talked you into starting your own beauty line before you went to the boutique. So before it was fashion, it was beauty, and I talked you into the makeup line, and it was B&B Cosmetics. My middle name is Barry. My mother's name is Betty. So you think the other B just came out of nowhere? It was B and Barry's Cosmetics.
I
So it
didn't
was
even know if you
B&B.
still, I didn't even know if you still
remember.
remembered it.
So we had a makeup line before the boutique, and then you started doing nails in the big market, and you taught me how to do nails. Come
Yes.
on now, little Sue.
Well,
Doggone to give
I called you
credit.
an elephant for a lot of
Tanya and
reasons.
her husband then brought me the boutique. I helped you start the first makeup line before Tanya got even married.
I
So,
thought you were just jealous about sports.
well, I was jealous about y'all just take all the credit. Doggone it. See,
No,
all right.
I just,
So,
you know what happened? I really had forgotten about the boutique line, and
of
it just
course you
came
did.
to me.
Beauty line, of course you did.
Yes,
Of
no,
course.
but it was fun, and we had a great time
Remember, all right, so mom,
developing it. Yes.
I'm gonna take you back. Theon's nail polish, you put the clear on it and the
Oh
change.
my
Remember,
gosh.
we
Well, we
brought that
didn't
out.
develop that. We just
Oh, but
the,
right,
the
we didn't. But we featured it. Theon's. Right,
yes,
see, Lori says Theon's nail polish. That's right, Lori.
yes,
Yep,
yes.
that's right. We
Everybody remembers it, and I wish it were still around today. But as we in our makeup line, we had a number 50 lipstick. Do you remember, Norwood?
yep. I used to do
And
makeup.
that's right. But it's just like Theon's. When you get great products, for some reason, they're the ones that they take off the market first. So they took Theon's off the market, and they took number 50, which was an Afro-American beautiful lipstick for women.
Well, we,
They took
all
that
right,
off
wait.
also.
All right, so right now, I'm going to Q2 your commercial. Yes,
Okay. No, go ahead. Go to commercial. Go to commercial.
go to commercial. Are you producing that?
No, you said you were going to commercial, and I said go to
Oh
commercial.
my gosh. Can I have something? Now you got to produce the show. Jesus.
You're okay, Norwood.
Am I okay, my mom?
You're okay.
Dang. All right. At this time, we have to pay for it. Yay. Uh-oh. Where's my mama? Hello, mom.
I have to replug. Hold on, honey.
Oh,
She has to put her charger in.
Yes, because I didn't know. I was all charged up to 90, but something happened. Okay.
okay.
Can you see me?
Nope, can't see. Cat has
Okay,
it back
but
to
I'm
me.
ready to do it the other way because
I think that is mom's phone crackling that noise.
Whose phone is
Okay,
cracking?
my mom.
can you
Look,
see
my
me
mom.
now?
Yes,
Okay.
honey. We can see you now.
Okay.
We can see you now, can see you now, and see you now. That's my mom's phone cranking up like that.
It
But
is.
that's good. That's perfect. Perfect.
I think it's yours,
My mom.
Norwood.
That's
No, it's
not my
not.
phone, Norwood.
It's not mine. All right. See? It's not my phone. All right, so let's go. Let's continue. Let's continue. Mother.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about the boutique that we just saw.
Tell you about. I can't hear you, honey.
Your boutique?
Oh, Betty's pop-up shop.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Betty's pop-up shop is located in Trenton for I would say now 4 years. Um, and I'm hoping to, in the next month or so, venture into live resale on a live,
Pop up
yes,
online.
on the pop, right. And
Uh-huh.
so we've been there 3 years, doing very well. And I'm hoping that if we go live, that I'll meet a lot of Norwood's friends and we'll get a lot of other folks to come shop with us.
Okay, so all right, so we got to tie that up. So the commercial we saw was of your boutique. My mother's boutique is a major, super mega boutique. It's not like a little room that you walk in and see a few items. It's like a doggone mini department store. I call it a mega boutique. So mom is going to do an online pop-up where people can see the items and purchase from right then, yeah? Okay, so what we're gonna do now is open up the floor and open up the room for any questions, any comments. And start showing me some comments, baby girl. Debbie says hi, Wiz. Gloria says hi, wisdom. Great interview, Tanya. Fran LaPer says women is. Oh, this is also Women's Small Business Month. Did you guys know that?
No,
You did not, Tanya. I can't hear you, honey. Are you on mute?
No, I'm not on mute. I'm sorry.
Okay, now I hear you.
Okay, I didn't know that, but thank you for sharing that information.
yeah.
Yes. Fran says it's Women's Small Business Month. Well, that's fantastic. Corey says, all right, so Corey says he wants to visit. Where are you visiting? Bangkok, Corey, where I am, or my mother's house? So listen, before we go, yeah, Uncle Earl, he's in New York. So before we go, Tanya, where did the name Elder Structural come from?
Well, Elder Structo is the name that I, as well as my cousins, have given Norwood because Norwood has the ability, the unique, rare ability
Watch it.
to break things that should not be broken, to destroy things that you would not think could be destroyed. And so when something would break, we would just say, that's El Destructo. I mean, literally things that were like marble. Marble's not supposed to break. Norwood probably could break that. But it's just Norwood's way. And we love him dearly, but he's actually El Destructo because he has broken so many things. And the only thing worse than Norwood breaking everything is when he tries to put it back together. Yeah. That's a whole nother hour and a whole nother show to explain all of the things that Norwood has broken, destroyed. My mom talked about the glue when he caught the house on fire. Not only did it catch the house on fire, it caught me on fire. So he wouldn't have been able to get away with it because I still have a burn on my thigh.
All right, wait a minute. Are you still talking about that? You said I left a mark on you from setting the house on fire?
I still have a burn mark from when Norwood caught the house on fire with the glue. I got caught on fire, had to run outside because I didn't know not to run outside. So I ran outside while I was a ball of flames. And
Tanya, you so it's exaggerating.
Well,
The mark is that
I
big.
still have the burn mark on my right side to show it. I have the receipts for when Norwood tried to almost burn the house down, but more importantly than the house, I was on fire.
Anyway,
I was on fire.
all right, so I'm not even listening to you. I'm going to the comment. Can you go back to Danielle Renee's comment, please? Cat, girl, no, oh my God, not that one. Danielle says, girl, yes, he does. Oh my God, I can't believe he loses the way he loses things. The horror stories of the glue in Asia. Danielle, that's not the one, Cat. The nice comments, doggone it. Bruce Jackson is cracking up. He said a ball of flame. Victoria says, such a treat seeing all of you together, even virtually. Petty Rebel says, Norwood said you would mention your burn. Yeah, because he tells that story about that damn burn all the time.
Well, Norwood has a fixation with fire. So I don't know if any of you are on the phone and you're his friends, you know what I'm saying is true. Norwood has a fixation with fire. I could share stories when he was cooking in the kitchen and pot of fire, and then the iron from my mom and dad had carpet in the kitchen. Don't know why, but we did. Norwood was cooking, caught the stove on fire, and the round iron stuck to the pot. So when he pulled the pot up, the iron fell and damaged the carpet. But the story doesn't stop there. Our house was like a Lifetime movie. Not only did it catch the carpet on fire, then Norwood decided he was going to be a carpenter. So he ran to the hardware store and tried to get equipment to retake the extra carpet we had downstairs and put the new carpet onto this burn. So he went and bought all the tools before my parents could get home from work. And then he thought that when they got home, they wouldn't be able to tell that he had replaced the carpet from downstairs with this. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. And my parents must have laughed to themselves all of the time. But yeah, literally, he went and bought that long metal thing with glue from the hardware store. He rented it and tried to replace that one square foot square because he burned it with the stove. I could go on for days.
I called my grandfather. I called my grandfather over, and it still didn't work. Anyway, Danielle Renee says she would love for you ladies to mentor her. You guys are absolutely nuts. Danielle said, that's Norwood. I'm over here crying. Listen, I just like to think of myself as a, I don't know how to think of myself. I don't try to break this stuff. It just happened. And I think that if it breaks, I should be responsible for fixing it. No?
Well, how about, okay, and I know the show's over, but how about, so Norwood won a car. You told me, so Norwood won a Studebaker. He won a Studebaker. So the church had auctioned off this old classic Studebaker, and Norwood won the car. So you have to imagine, this is, early 80s. He's in high school driving this, and it looks amazing, Studebaker. So, Norwood is flossing, and he is driving. He's the man. He looks sharp driving this car. Well, something happened in the car, like the catalytic converter or something popped. So one day, as Norwood's driving this car, the car is literally smoking up the entire street where you could not see from one end of our street to the other as Norwood is driving this car. And my sister and I, we were dying till we fell in the street, because at the end of the day, he was still sharp. He was clean. The car was spotless and clean, but the whole street was literally filled like smoke, like someone's house was on fire. But it didn't stop Norwood from being clean in that Studebaker.
Anyway, Mama, I'm ignoring you. Speaking of cars, what about, I got one more story to tell you. What about, all right, so my mother and father knew everybody in Trenton, from the police chief to the mayor, everyone. So I and my best friend decided it was a good idea to borrow, because I didn't have a license, to borrow my mother's car one night, because my mother bowled on Thursday nights. She was not home on Thursday nights, and my father wasn't home on Thursday nights. For whatever reason, I don't know what was going on. So I borrowed the car, and Mommy, I borrowed the car. So I borrowed the car and drove down a one-way street. Now, in some cases that might not, it's always horrible, but I'm in my, at the time, I was stole the car because I borrowed the car because I wanted to drive a Mercedes. I wanted to, be that cat. So I got in my mom's car and I knew where they had they left the keys. So something in my brain said, just go for a little ride and park the car back to where it was. Aside from the fact that my father had an idea that I was stealing the car, and he would chalk where the tires were on the pavement, and I didn't even know he was doing that. But in either case, I stole the car, drove down a one-way street, got stopped by the police. Okay, so the police officer talks to me and asks me why or whatever, and he gives me a nice talking to or whatever, and he lets me go home. And I said to my friend Bobby Harris at the time, "Woo, got out of that one fine." I go back home, and my mother and father had gotten back home. So already I'm a little nervous because they're already back home. But I'm going to explain it some kind of way, I don't know. Needless to say, when I get home, the police officer who stopped me and let me go home had called my mother and father, because I didn't know they knew each other, to tell them that I stole the car. So by the time I got home, oh my God. My mom, do you remember that?
Absolutely. And it wasn't the first time you stole the car.
I borrowed it.
You stole the car. And the policeman's name was Ernie Williams, a very good friend of ours. And you were in trouble. Let's say that. But that wasn't the first time you stole it either.
Well, here's the deal. That's true.
I never stole a car, Mom.
I know,
That's why
Tanya.
I'm the favorite
We
child.
didn't.
But I
We
never
didn't
stole
do
a car.
anything. Norwood
And my mom,
just
I
with.
never skipped school.
I
never
know.
skipped school. I had people at the house during school, like Norwood did.
And you never gave those parties.
And that's why I'm the favorite child.
And you never gave those parties where everybody knew where everything was in my house.
I never did those parties. Nope.
That's
Go
right.
ahead, Norwood. I'm sorry. This is Just Norwood. The show's called Just Norwood. Go ahead, Norwood.
And that's why we're just talking about Norwood.
I want you guys to come back for sure, because there's so many more. Are there any more questions from Tanya, my mom, and myself before we leave? I just have one more sentence to read out of here that my mother wrote, and then we're going to go to the mantra and go. But are there any more questions? Oh, that's right. Stu Butler said, "Was your father," Tanya, do not laugh, "was your father a singer too?"
Absolutely not.
All right, so there's another story. My father could not sing his way out of a paper bag, but he thought he could. And sometimes when people think they can, you kind of believe it, so you just go with it. So my father would take me out in the cars at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning to listen to certain songs. So no, he was not a singer. However, he was definitely a personality, and he had his own he had a sports talk show and things of that nature. So he was in the entertainment business, so to speak, but he wasn't a singer. Love you too, Kylie. So before we leave, Tony and I, hi Tony Palmer, Tony says I thought he could sing. He thought he could too, Tony. He thought he could sing too, but that's okay. So listen, I want to bring you guys back on because I've had so much fun. But we have to agree that we won't share so many Norwood stories. We have to share some Tanya stories. And I have to share some stories about my mother that are quite funny and quite interesting. My mother is, I will compare her to Lucille Ball. Very, very funny. I don't have time to share the stories, but some are in my book. But before we go, you all know that Tanya and I have an online sibling rivalry as to who my mother's favorite child is. Our sister Tamika is not even in the rivalry because she's the youngest child, and they get away with everything. I call Tanya an oops baby. I call her oops baby. I've heard it bar because I was playing. Tanya was an oops, but and Tamika was playing. So Tanya and I fight over who my mom's favorite child is. And I just want to read a word that my mother put in the book. She says, Norwood's life story is to glorify the Lord. All of my children are the light of my life. Norwood is my best friend. How's that make you feel, Tanya? Tanya!
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. My screen went out. I was having technical difficulties. I couldn't hear you.
Mommy, what did you say?
I told Tanya to read that for herself because it's not printed.
Yes, it is.
Mommy, of course. I'm sure,
But
Mom. We don't have
You
time to go
can't
into
prove
that
it. We can't see the book.
because I know
Tanya.
Kat is screaming at all of us right now. So I will deal with that later.
All right.
Yes.
So Tanya, to everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Just Norwood. We'll be back next week as well. So, Mommy and Tanya, I don't know if you guys remember, but when we were in Disney World some years ago, we were on the ride Seven Wonders of the World. And when we were going through the walkway to get on the ride, if you remember, projected on the walls were the Seven Wonders of the World. That was the inspiration for me when we got back in our van to go back to our hotel to write a song called Eighth Wonder of the World. Because the love that I felt, excuse me, the love that I felt, it was Tanya, my mother, and Tanya's daughters. And we were in the van going back from the resort and the Walt Disney World and this ride, Seven Wonders of the World. And it prompted this song that I wrote that is on the Just Norwood album. So I'm going to sing it before we leave. Thank you for coming. I love you so much, Tanya and Mama. Thank you for being my first guest.
Love you,
And
Mom.
I'll sing this song and talk to
Love you,
you soon.
Norwood.
Love you too, Mama. Yeah. Rivers deep, mountains high, valleys low, and oceans wide. You cannot feel, but so can see. Will make you laugh and make you cry with no apparent reason why. It's a marvelous thing. 'Cause love is the eighth wonder. Wonder of the world. Love is the eighth wonder. Wonder of the world. Love was here before man, descendants of the master plan. Incredible, amazing. Will make you laugh and make you cry with no apparent reason why. It's a marvelous thing. Hey, 'cause love is the eighth wonder. Wonder of the world. Love is the eighth wonder. Wonder of the world. 'Cause love is the eighth wonder. Wonder of the world. 'Cause love is the wonder. Wonder of the world. The Great Wall of China, the ancient pyramids, the Sahara Desert, and Mount Everest, the Grand Canyon, Himalayas, and even the Taj Mahal, are the seven wonders of the world. But love is the eighth and most wondrous of them all. Ooh. The Great Wall of China, the ancient pyramids, the Sahara Desert, and Mount Everest, The Grand Canyon, Himalayas, and even the Taj Mahal. For the 7 wonders of the world. But love is the 8th and most wondrous of them all. Because love is the 8th wonder of the world. Because love is the 8th wonder of the world. Love is the 8th wonder of the world. Yeah, love is the 8th wonder of the world. The Great Wall of China ain't got nothing on love. The ancient pyramids ain't got nothing on love. The Grand Canyon, Himalayas got nothing on love. We are all together, cause it's the 8th wonder of the world. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you. God bless. And we'll see you back here next week with Just Norwood.
Up in the morning and out to school. The teacher is teaching the golden rule. American history and practical math. You study them hard and hoping to pass. Working your fingers right down to the bone. And the guy behind you won't leave you alone. Ring, ring.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go! Bring me down. Can't none bring me. Your day is designed to perfection, and anything that goes against that perfection is a trap. Don't fall for it.